From Arlington, Virginia, we have Phalanx. Presenting for this company is Ian Garrett, co-founder and CEO. Give him a round of applause and bring him on out.
Hey folks, I'm Ian Garrett, co-founder and CEO of Phalanx. We have cybersecurity that lets humans be human. How many files do you have on your computer? When's the last time that you access them? How many are PDFs? And where in the world are people accessing your data? A single piece of personal identifiable information, known as PII, can cost an organization $186 per record. A single file can contain thousands of records. And yet a security team has no easy way to answer any of the questions I ask, especially company-wide. Existing cyber solutions make humans responsible for security actions, when in reality, security actions often get in the way of getting a job done. The more secure systems will individually encrypt files, but there's a lot of overhead and it's burdensome. The more productive systems will open the aperture, encrypt larger areas, but when a user is actually using that data, it leaves it exposed. In the constant battle between security and productivity, why does it feel like we can't let humans be human? When it comes to deploying a traditional data loss prevention tool, 98% of organizations take more than a few weeks, with almost half of them taking 4 months to over a year. Can you imagine spending $1 million on a tool that you can't even use for the next year? Phalanx's mission focuses on the core problem that users have to make security decisions, and they pit that against productivity decisions when in reality, people are getting paid for productivity, not security. No one has ever gotten paid to not click a phishing link. We make this possible by focusing on the everyday actions users take with their documents, and then we overlay that into the existing environments that they're already in. This approach is key because it reduces the attack surface. If you have 1,000 files on your computer and you're only using one, then you expose that one while 999 files are secured by Phalanx. Those 999 unused secured files don't impact your productivity. However, it completely hinders the ability to steal that data. Phalanx is like turning your office into a bank vault where Phalanx is the key card, where employees can badge in and access the lockboxes that they're supposed to. Now, security isn't useful if it's not used, which means productivity, efficiency, and ease of deployment and management are key for security teams as they're deploying data loss prevention tools. Traditional data loss prevention is rules-based, which means there's a human being that sits behind a terminal, hand-jamming rules into the system. And if that process takes months, then there's months of potential human error being coded directly into those systems. In contrast, Phalanx is an identity-based solution that leverages automation. And that means we're deployable in less than a day and requires 0 weekly maintenance. Now, what does this actually look like? Please move the demo. The foundation of what Phalanx is built on is tying identity to individualized encrypted files. If the encrypted file is on a desktop, we make it easy for the end user to access that data, because again, we want humans to be human. They can double-click files, right-click files, everything that they're used to today. Now, encrypted files, automatic, otherwise, very important and interesting, but what really moves the needle is what's next. You can't protect what you can't see. And Phalanx provides a digital map of every file across every existing workspace. CISOs can finally see who's accessing what, where, and how across their workspaces, no matter where they are in the world. If an employee has 50,000 files on their laptop that they haven't touched in 7 years, that's a massive security risk. So there's time to do something about that. If somebody's opening a file in a country that you don't have an office, you can restrict that from opening. And this wealth of data is not only accessible just on our dashboard, but it's portable via API to any kind of existing monitoring or analytics systems. Thanks. Now back to presentation. We've reduced the cyber risk exposure of our customers in the financial services and government contracting sectors by over 60%, with that number growing as we continue to roll out automations. We also have a dual-pronged go-to-market strategy where we focus on mid to large-scale enterprise by doing per-user requirements, so we're scalable with the needs of those security teams, and we can also deploy out to SMBs via the channel. So we have channel partners that represent tens of thousands of users under management that finally have an ability to deploy data loss prevention to their SMB clients. So not only are we securing their data, we're actually enabling their businesses. Our opportunity is exponentially growing as long as with our channel partners as businesses. The only way that we can continue to build the next generation in data loss prevention is with our design partners. So if you're a financial institution or an SMB that struggles with quantifying the cyber risk of your organization, solve that problem today at Phalanx.io. Thank you.
Okay, Morgan, let's start with you.
Sure. Another demo that works. What a thrill. 4 for 4. I'm curious what you both were doing before this.
Yes. So both of us actually met at West Point for undergrad, and we both commissioned to the Army. I was a cyber officer. He was a logistician. Afterwards, I went into a PhD program focused in cyber and AI, so you can tell I like cyber. He went into an MBA, worked at Deloitte as a cyber risk consultant. We actually have a third co-founder as well, who's our CTO, who's pretty much spent the entire time building and leading teams building large-scale secure systems.
Great. I'm glad I asked.
Me too. Mark?
Yeah, I was curious if there's some new tech breakthrough that allows you to build this product, or if this is something you could have also built 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that's changed over time is the processing power on the edge. So let's say 15 years ago, doing encryption at the individual level can be processing heavy. However, in today's day and age, our mobile phones, our watches, definitely our laptops, all good to go on that standpoint.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Healy?
Sure, yeah. Great demo. Good job. 4 out of 4. Amazing.
Lots of pressure for number 5.
I just want to make sure I totally get it. So does this require that every file on your computer is in the cloud primarily, then locally downloads as you need it?
Even better. So we encrypt in place to where it's at. So if it's on your desktop, we'll encrypt it on the desktop. If it's in Google Drive or OneDrive, we'll encrypt it in place there as well. So we want the data to stay resident to where it's at. We do the key distribution and management in our cloud, but all the data actually stays where it's at.
Got it. Okay, super. The fast follow-up question. I loved you kind of pointing out that it's productivity versus security. Everyone's paid by productivity. Really wise point. So does this hamper like load speed or anything like that? Like local performance, how does it change?
Yeah, so the biggest difference, I would say, in the microseconds, most users don't notice the impact to opening a PDF or a Word document. And again, because in today's day and age, with all the modern processing, the actual encryption doesn't actually slow down the machine very much. And the actual data that's required is minimal because it's just the key.
Got it. Great, thanks.
Tess?
Super impressive technology. If I were a CISO evaluating your product, whom might I also be evaluating as well? Tell me a little bit about the competitive landscape.
Yes, so there's two. So in the world of cybersecurity, which is super convoluted, we live in the data security realm. So we focus on securing data and specifically unstructured data. So everything that's outside of a database. So there's two main areas two main ways that you would secure that. So that one is with a data loss prevention solution. That's like a Netscope or a Proofpoint. That most of them focus on, again, kind of putting in rules where as data is moving around an organization, they say, oop, you can't go there, oop, you can't download that. The issue is it's trying to capture data loss as it's happening, so it's not really preventative. The other side is just encrypted storage. So that's something like a company called Prevail or even like a Box.com, where they're trying to have an encrypted enclave where they have the data that's secured, but the issue there is there's not visibility across the entire workspace, so a lot of people deal with documents in other personal drives, desktops. There's a lot of areas where the systems don't have visibility.
Okay, and one of your slides said you're focused on SMB. Would you go up to mid-market and enterprise, and you're starting there and eventually going to expand in white glove, or that's the customer sweet spot?
Actually, so we do service both. So we do the mid-market and a large scale as a direct sales, and then we approach the SMB via our channel partners. Because we primarily sell to the CISO and security team, and we found that mid-size and large scale obviously have CISOs. SMBs often outsource it, so that's why we go through their trusted partners, which are the channel partners.
Thanks.
Of course.
Healy, another question?
I was going to ask distribution strategy, but you just answered it.
I read your mind.
Okay. Anything else?
I have a question. So as you've gone to market, what have been the biggest surprises as far as like what customers want, what customers hate, what part of the pitch resonates?
Oh, 100%. So it's actually why we're even doing the way we're doing today. We started with more of an encrypted focus. We found that nobody actually is interested in buying security. There's been a couple one-offs like, oh, gee whiz, that's cool. But we found the visibility component and then that map that we're showing, that's a huge game changer. That's where they go, oh, wow, I didn't realize I had this, there, and that. And so that the data aspect of actually understanding and feeling comfortable with that has been the game changer for our customers.
Yeah, a lot of questions. Now let's go to Preeti.
What keeps other folks from copying your approach? What are your moats in the business?
Yes, so the biggest thing that we've done is go against rules-based towards identity-based. So our key distribution management system, and as well as we have a multiple encryptions per file, so we encrypt the file, encrypt the metadata associated with that. So that whole distribution system is IP for us.
And have you filed patents for it?
We haven't yet, but we are looking into which components to patent. Obviously, we don't want to give away the secret sauce.
Tess?
I'm going to put you on the spot, and that's just because we're running out of questions up here. I'm assuming customers that are on your platform, if you go down, they go down. How's your uptime been for your customers thus far?
Yeah, so far, I mean, we're built on AWS and also AWS GovCloud for our government contracting customers. So anytime there's, it's a data class called CUI for government data. So we host that on AWS GovCloud. We host everything else on commercial, and then we also have a redundancy system. Again, going into that security productivity, we don't want to be the reason why some other business fails. So we have a multiple redundancy system for both the keys and everything else.
100% uptime.
Yes.
Damn.
Nice.
Well, that's a good place to stop. Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause.